Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Livvin for Food pod. This week on the pod, I have the lovely Frances Largeman-Roth. Frances is a registered dietitian nutritionist. You may have seen some of her recipes on the Today Show, as her newest cookbook, Everyday Snack Tray, is coming out next month. We've dove deep into tips for maintaining a healthy lifestyle, how to maintain realistic eating goals, and we talked about all things snacks. Please join me in welcoming Frances.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello and welcome to the Livvin for Food pod, and I'm glad we can make this work despite our technical issues.
Me too.
For those that don't know, so Frances, I was supposed to interview her like a few weeks ago, and then we had like last minute changes, and we both had computer problems since then. So she had to get a whole new computer, but we're here.
We're here. Thank goodness. So happy to be here.
I love it. I love it. So you're a fellow writer too,
Yeah.
but you're a registered dietitian in the health realm. So I'm really interested to speak with you because I have a lot of questions.
Awesome. Ask away.
Okay. So let's talk about your food background first, though. You're a nutritionist. You encourage balanced and plant-based eating. What did food look like for you when you were younger? Were you a nutrition-focused household, or is this a passion that kind of ensued like later on in life?
Very interesting question. So, my mom was German, came from Germany. My dad was from Brooklyn. And so they met in Germany, got married there, and then moved back to the US. And so she was making traditional German dishes, but she also converted to Judaism. So she was
Oh,
also trying to bring some of those food ways into the household. And luckily, there's overlap. I mean, Germans make latkes too, and matzo ball soup, or they call them dumplings instead of matzo balls. So there was a lot of good home cooking, which is really awesome. Um, and I was not actually a food focused person. I wanted to be a veterinarian for the longest time.
okay.
Actually went to school undergrad to be a vet. For 4 years, I studied animal science. But then when I studied in Australia, I went to Australia for a semester. I kind of had an awakening because I realized that what animal science was teaching me was how to build a bigger, better cow or a bigger, better sheep
Huh.
faster. That's why they use antibiotics. That's why they use growth hormones. Because that's like a business decision, right? You get the animal bigger, faster, you make more money. And so when I came back from that semester, I met with my advisor, and I said, I really like the nutrition classes that I'm taking for animals. What would I need to do to sort of switch things over to humans? And luckily, because I had done all of the sciences already,
Mhm.
um, I was able to just stay another year and start doing the nutrition courses and nutrition counseling and food science and things like that. So, and then I did my dietetic internship. So the love of food was certainly fostered in me at a young age, but it took me a while to kind of come around to it. And I think part of that also was the fact that my dad died of a heart attack when I was 12.
Okay.
So it wasn't didn't hit me right at 12. Oh, this was related to how he ate and how he took care of his body. But over time, those are things that I started learning. And I thought, you know what, that didn't have to happen. He could have lived in a different way and could have, either, with lifestyle and exercise and things like that, he could have lived a healthier, longer life.
Yeah, that's so hard. And as a kid, you probably couldn't really process what was actually going on, but now you can actually understand, oh, the science behind it and maybe the longevity of your life as well. But that's
Exactly.
Yeah, that's incredibly interesting. Australia must have been incredible.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've never been there, but it's definitely on my bucket list. I studied abroad in Florence, Italy, but like that's kind of basic. Everyone does. Not that I'm saying it's not amazing, but
Yeah,
Australia.
well, for food, Florence is fantastic, but also, yeah, I mean, Australia is amazing. There's so many different influences there in terms of the food, and so much fresh produce and seafood is available. So, yeah, definitely keep it on the bucket list.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. What's something you were taught when you were kind of going through all of this education, becoming a nutritionist, that really stuck with you? Does it have to do with more of like the exercise because of your father, or is it more of just like a fact that you kind of implement into your life now?
This is going to sound so boring because everyone has heard it a million times, but it is the truth. It's about consistency.
Hmm.
That is how you maintain your health long term. So it doesn't matter if you have pizza on Friday night and donuts on Saturday morning or a bagel on Saturday morning. It really, those things are part of life, and food is meant to be enjoyed, but it's about those kind of boring things like getting your
Hmm.
fruits and veggies every day, getting enough fiber in your diet, 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day, um, not going overboard on sodium, not going overboard on saturated fat, and just kind of maintaining. And same thing with fitness, right? Like, people try to train for marathons just on the weekend. It doesn't
Yeah,
really
no,
work.
not
It
a
doesn't really
fan.
work out. Yeah. So you have to, even if it's 20 minutes a day, right? That's often all I can fit in, but 20 minutes on the Peloton or, on a short run is much better than nothing at all. Right. So it's kind of like putting a little bit of that money in the bank every day for your long-term health.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, I think this is something I learned back in college, and I might have to correct it if I'm wrong, but to form a habit, it takes about 21 days.
Something like that.
Something like that, somewhere around there. And I've noticed that if I do exercise consistently or if I eat healthy consistently, I start craving those things. And then once it becomes a habit, it's like it's just in your daily routine and you don't even really think about it. A lot of people also exercise for mental health reasons. So I
Yes.
have a lot of anxiety. A lot of people I know do. So running or like just going to the gym or doing some sort of cardio is really helpful for me as well. But what is one thing you wish people knew about the nutritional field? It's a general question, but
One thing, uh, that it doesn't have to be all or nothing, right? It doesn't have to be, okay, now today I'm going to start and I'm only having kale salad and I'm only having, grilled chicken and shrimp, and I'm taking all of these brand new supplements starting today. You've seen this before. I'm sure you have, right?
I've done
Right,
it.
you've done it. Or it's like only green juice, okay, from here on out, and I'm never going to drink wine again or have a cocktail, and I'm never going to stay out late, or like changing, check, changing it all, right? No more toxic relationships, blah blah blah. Doing it all. That is
Hmm.
not sustainable. Okay, maybe for 2 weeks, maybe even for a month you could do that, right? But then you have to live your life. You want to go to Florence or you want to go to Sydney, you want to travel and experience things. That is not, all those restrictions are not going to allow you to experience life. And I think that unfortunately everybody has to come to that conclusion on their own.
Hmm.
You have to kind of make all those mistakes and try the stupid diets, the whatever, the exercise fads, to find a real balance that you can live with, that makes you feel good, that helps with the anxiety, that nourishes your body, that is good for your body and soul.
Yeah, I would say two things for me really, really changed the game, and that's when I started walking more. It
Hmm.
is the most simple thing in the world, And it's so easy to do, but just like put this podcast in and go for a walk.
Yeah.
And it changed my body, honestly, for a few months, because I did see a change, but I wasn't necessarily doing it for that physical change. And then I also talked to a nutritionist, I think this was a year or two ago, and she said add, don't
Mm-hmm.
subtract.
That's right.
So, like, kind of exactly what you were saying, instead of restricting, say you want a bowl of pasta, add the vegetables to it rather than just not eating the pasta at all, because you'll fulfill the craving, but then you'll also add the nutrients that you were kind of
Yeah.
needing.
No, but that's exactly right. And I love that concept of adding, not subtracting, because the truth is we need more. We need more fruits and veggies, more whole grains, more healthy fats, right? So I really love to see that when people start saying, you know what? I am going to have my pasta. I'm going to add more goodies to it. Maybe even some nuts on top, some like toasted
Mm-hmm.
walnuts or toasted pistachios.
Mm-hmm.
Make it as flavorful as you want, because also that's going to help you feel more satisfied too.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. What is your stance on fasting? Do you feel like that is effective? I mean, I know everyone's body is a little bit different, so you might not be able to say definitively, but
I think it is intermittent fasting works for some people, and there are some good health outcomes with it for certain people. I don't think it's the type of thing that anyone should just willy nilly start doing on their own, because
Mhm.
certainly if you're on medication, no matter what kind of medication, whether it's for depression or whether it's for your heart, going that long, going for 12 hours without eating may have a detrimental effect, if you're on medication. So also, I know for people with kids, it's like an insane thing to do, because if you're not feeding your brain, and honestly, your brain requires a lot of calories, you're
Mhm.
not going to be able to parent. You're not going to be able to make good decisions. And, for me, I fasted on Monday because it was Yom Kippur. It's the only time of year that I fast. And,
Mhm.
it wasn't, the fasting itself wasn't that hard. I wasn't that, uncomfortable, or I didn't feel, faint or anything like that. However, I will
Mhm.
say that for the last couple of days, my stomach has not been, my digestion has not been amazing. And I think that there
Mm.
is a real effect there when you're not getting, first of all, we're all not getting enough fiber anyway, but then you take a whole like full 24-hour period without getting any, and also being dehydrated, you're honestly kind of making yourself uncomfortable for a few days. So
Mhm.
intermittent fasting can work for you. Talk to your doctor or a registered dietitian before starting a program like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely good advice. I was just listening, I won't like name what I was listening to, but there was this celebrity that was basically talking about like, "Oh, I'm fasting, but it's been 3 days because it's a
What?
cleanse." And I was like, I don't think I think that's just not eating. I don't know.
You hit the nail on the head. That's just called starving your body. Uh, no, no, I don't recommend that. And a lot of celebrities, they don't quite put the two and two together. They know that they're influential, but they don't understand how
Yeah.
negative their impact can be when they talk about doing these things and how they feel great, or they feel like it's cleared their skin up, or it's taken away these various,
Mhm.
other people are going to, people with normal means, right? Who can't
Mhm.
have people doing all their tasks for them, right? Are going to
Right.
try this, and they might honestly like have a real medical issue because they haven't eaten for 3
Yeah.
days.
Right. No, exactly. And especially women. I mean, we have enough body issues, but when you're like you hear like, "Oh, I haven't eaten 3 days and I feel great and I look better and I'm slimmer." People are going to follow that, especially younger people who haven't gone through the fad diet motions and are trying to set realistic goals for themselves but don't really know how.
Yeah.
It's it's not ideal. But I was listening to that and I was like, wow, that is so problematic.
It's so problematic, but see, you know that it's problematic. A lot of other people don't. So that's the issue.
Yeah, exactly. How do you go about setting those realistic goals for yourself in terms of eating and exercise habits? If you're starting from ground zero and you're like, I don't know what the heck to do, what do you do?
Ground zero, back to don't try to do it all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Start with some very easy meal prep. Even just like on Sunday, I went to the farmer's market in the morning, but I didn't go crazy because I know that if I buy too much, it gets wasted, and then I feel really terrible. So start
Mm-hmm.
small. Get a head of kale and wash it, and then prep it, which just means you're going to chop the stems off and remove that spine on the middle of the leaf. And then I didn't even
Mm-hmm.
cook it that day. I just took those cleaned leaves, put them in a Tupperware, and then when I went to the fridge, I was like, "Oh, awesome. Now I can cook this, 2 days later, and it's going to take me
Right.
literally a minute to cook it." So I would
Mm-hmm.
say if you're starting out, find a few things that you really want to try, whether it is uh, a kale salad or a frittata or an awesome pasta dish or the Jennifer Aniston salad that was super hot 2 summers ago,
Oh,
and
right.
something that you actually like. Like if you don't like kale, forget it. Don't even waste your
Mm-hmm.
time. Something that you
Mm-hmm.
actually enjoy and want to make, and maybe you have a friend who is starting this whole health journey too, and maybe he or she wants to do the same thing. So if you're making 3 things a week and they're making 3 things a week, you guys can swap, and then you have even more options. So go with what you like, really honest to goodness. Go with what you like. And if you're like, yeah, but all I like is fast food, well, guess what, there are other healthier options for those things out there too, and you can find a million recipes on the interweb. And there's so much inspiration out there, right?
Yeah, yeah. There are so many recipes that you can look up, even like fast food dupes and whatever else it is too. But it's funny that you said that because the other day I was in a restaurant. I was meeting someone to interview for an editorial content, and basically I was trying to be a new person. I was like, I'm gonna order a literal kale smoothie. That's what I ordered. I hated it. I was like, this is just such a bad idea. I should have just stuck with what I liked. And I love like fruit, but I was trying to kind of cut sugar a little bit. But I mean, it's natural sugar, so whatever. But I was trying to try something different and I ordered the kale smoothie. I was like, such a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. But something I've noticed that is a big difference is when you come home from the grocery store and you do prep the foods, you wash the fruit and it's out, I'll eat it way more. But if I leave it in the container, it's gonna go bad.
Yeah, absolutely. If you see it, I mean, they've done all these studies on, they did them on M&Ms, right? And if you put the bowl out on the counter, you're going to grab some every time you walk by. Well, the same is true for healthy stuff. If you have your
Mm-hmm.
oranges or your apples or your grapes, whatever it is, in a beautiful bowl on the counter, you're more likely to grab it. Same thing with kids. Um, another tip that I want to give is a lot of women undereat, right? So they would go to that business lunch and they'd be like, I'm just going to have a salad, or I'm just going to have the kale smoothie, right? And then you didn't actually fuel enough. And what happens is later on, that's when you're home, you're like, oh my God, that really didn't keep me full for long at all. Now I'm grabbing
Right.
everything out of the fridge and, oh, look, there's the leftover pizza. I'll have 2 slices. You know, Under fueling almost always is going to backfire on you.
Oh yeah, I've experienced that. I've done that to myself plenty of times.
Yeah.
Especially too if you're trying to lose weight, it's just at least for me personally, that's an ineffective method because I gain weight very, very quickly. Like I will eat like a slice of pizza. I mean, that's not totally correct, but you know what I mean? Like I just, if I do it consistently, I'll gain weight very fast. But how do you kind of combat that in a healthy way, whether it be exercising or eating? I think it's just more of a balance thing, but I'd love to get your opinion.
Yeah, well, I hate to keep saying the F word, fiber, but if you don't get enough of that, you're just, it's going to make you hungry. So sometimes lunch is the worst for me because normally I've got a deadline. I'm sure this sounds familiar. I'm trying to work through the deadline. And then I'm like, oh, it's 2 now. Now I feel like I can't really have lunch because it's
Yeah.
late, but I'm starving and I've been, running to the fridge every 30 minutes for another snack. So when that happens, I'm like, okay, step back. Before you grab the chocolate, step back. Maybe you just need to grab an apple now. Like you've eaten stuff, but you still don't feel full.
Right.
Maybe an apple, maybe an orange, maybe you have, like a cheese stick, something like that with protein in it, or a handful of nuts. That's always a good option. Really, always a good option because it has fiber and fat to help make you feel satisfied. So it's also
Okay.
like being aware in the moment, like, which is hard to do when you're hungry, because when you're hungry you don't make good decisions, but you have to, oh yeah, I already
Right.
had a muffin and a this and a bar and a that, so, and it's 2, I guess I'll just have the apple, right? And then hopefully that's going to help me feel full because it also has water content in it. Water helps you feel full. So it's being aware of your decisions, but also if you grabbed that slice of pizza, don't beat yourself up, because it's the shaming and the beating yourself
Yeah.
up that then spirals into potentially multiple days of doing the same thing, right? And that's where those really unhealthy habits start to come in.
Yeah, because once you kind of kick it off and you say, "Oh, I had this pizza," you kind of go into this mindset where you're like, "Well, I already ate
Yeah.
that. So now I'm just going to keep
Right.
digging a
Who
hole and
cares? Who
digging a
cares?
hole."
But I
Yeah.
really try to counsel people, every next decision, you have a choice. It can be an awesome decision or a not so great
Mhm.
decision, you know? But
Right.
yeah, it's hard because we also get decision fatigue because we make so many
Yeah,
decisions each and every day.
I know. Just walking into the grocery store, I have this kind of idea in my head. Well, I'm also that kind of person that I have a basic list, but if I see something or get an idea that I want to cook, I just grab extra things, but I try not to let it go to waste. But it can be really overwhelming for people who don't know where to go or what to do,
Yeah, it's
honestly.
like me and Sephora. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Oh, they have 10 new brands. I don't even know where to look.
Oh my gosh. Sephora is a whole nother world. Ulta, forget it. Ulta Beauty is like so crazy. But yeah, it's like you don't even know where to look. It's literally just what when you're consuming media too. It's social media too. It's like you're consuming all of these recipes. It's like people are throwing things at you, giving you tips on how to lose weight, giving you tips on how to eat. This is bad for you. This is good for you. And then it swaps and it's like it's too
It is too
much.
much.
So,
I 100% agree.
yeah, I'm like, what am I supposed to eat ever?
Yeah. Snack trays. That's what you should eat
There you
because
go. That's what I was just going to go into.
they're so fun.
Amazing. You just segued right into our next topic here. So, your upcoming cookbook,
Perfect.
Everyday Snack Tray, is now available for pre-order. And this is your fourth book,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
It's 4 or 5. Yeah. There were some other things in between there, but this is my third
Mhm.
completely solo book, and then probably 5 or 6, including the ones that I
Okay.
co-authored. But I'm super excited about this one. I shot it with Lauren Volo, who's an amazing photographer, and Maeve Sheridan is a fantastic, fantastic prop stylist. And Mira Evnine is an amazing food stylist. So it was a labor of love, and I got the whole family involved. But yes, it's available for pre-order now, and then comes out on November 28th.
Yay, that's so exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So, you talk a lot about dealing with kids and like picky eating as well. Do you have any tips for parents who struggle with their kids being picky eaters? Would these snack trays kind of be a solution to that?
They definitely can be. So picky eating is super, super common. Some kids outgrow it. And like at an earlier age, at say 5, some kids stay picky through their teens, and then even
Mhm.
off to college. And the parents are like, "Oh my God,
Yeah,
they're gonna starve.
that
I
was
don't know what
me.
they're gonna eat." Um,
They were terrified. They're like,
really?
she's never gonna
Yeah.
eat. And honestly, I ate like the same thing all freshman year, but then I just started getting into the food business, and I was like, I eat everything now, but it was a work in progress.
Yeah. So I mean, everybody sort of expands their palate at a
Mhm.
different rate. For little kids, toddlers, that is the only thing that they have control over, right? The parents are dressing them, the
Oh,
parents are telling them where to go, when to go. That is the only way that they can control their lives is I'm going to eat this, but I'm not
oh,
going to
that's
eat that, right? Or I'm going to eat this now, but then tomorrow I'm going to hate it and I'm going to tell you I don't want it anymore. So it's super frustrating for parents, and as dietitians, we know that it can take up to 20 exposures to a new
wow.
food for a kid to even try it. And that's not loving it, that's
Wow,
trying it.
20.
Right. But it really does work. I mean, for years, I'm putting out the Brussels sprouts, putting out the Brussels sprouts. Then one day, my youngest kid says, I'm going to try them. Actually, those look good, mommy.
Mhm.
I want to try them today. And so it's about familiarity. So what I talk about in Everyday Snack Tray is that if you combine familiar foods, like say
Mhm.
peanut butter, with new foods for kids, maybe it's cucumber or maybe it's cherry tomatoes or, you know,
Mhm.
pomegranate, and it's all on the same tray, then they're seeing it, they can touch it, they can put it on their plate, they can try it, and maybe it's a yuck,
Mhm.
maybe it's a yum, but it's all of those exposures and understanding that, oh, hey, well, Aunt Liz is eating it and she seems to be liking it. Maybe I'll try it today, or maybe I'll try it next time. So, exposure to new foods and different cuisines and different types of food is a really, really important thing for parents to do. And I think that a snack tray is a low stress way
Mhm.
to do it. So if you told me that I had to, like, hey, introduce your kids to Indian food, if I had to make a whole Indian meal, I'd probably feel pressured
Right.
to do it. But if I can add some samosas to a snack tray, then that's a much easier, lower stress way as a parent for me to do that.
Right. And I think too, it's so easy to give up before those 20 exposures. Especially you're like, oh, I gave it to him 3 times. He's not going to eat it. Because that's what I would do if, like you don't really think
Yeah.
about it. What I like about the cookbook is that it also promotes meal times to be fun rather than a type of chore. What's the recipe you are most looking forward to sharing, if you could choose?
Oh, wow, great question. There are a lot. Oh my gosh, because the one that's coming to mind is it's a very fun one, not the healthiest pick in the book, but definitely delicious. It is a brownie topped with a macaroon top that was inspired by my friend Jake Cohen.
Oh,
So I'm sure you're familiar with him and
mhm.
his books, and he has a new book out right now. But of course, I make mine because this is an everyday snack tray from a box mix, and
Right.
his is from scratch. But then you make a coconut macaroon topping and bake that on top of the brownie, and those are really, really delicious
Oh,
if you're a coconut lover like I am. But for this time of year, also, the maple pumpkin muffins are delicious, and they are on the Fall
that
Fest
sounds so
tray.
good.
And I just made a batch the other day, and they're really easy and, really just make use of all the fall spices, and then there's some candied ginger on top. And what's great about these snack trays is that you're only making one thing from scratch.
Hmm.
And everything else is stuff that you're either buying at the store, or it's a fresh fruit or veggie that you're just
Oh,
cutting
okay.
up in a fun way.
Uh-huh.
So it's, again, meant to be low stress and to bring more fun to mealtime and snack
Mhm.
time, rather than having parents be like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to make, or I need to make everything perfectly. This is not about making salami roses at all.
Yeah. I've tried to do those and I've failed miserably. Those are hard to do.
They're hard to make. Yes, they are.
They are. But there's nothing wrong with boxed mixes either or store-bought things.
No.
I've talked to so many chefs who use that in desserts and whatever else because sometimes it's just easier, but it also tastes good.
Yeah, I mean, the people are making mixes for a reason, that's for sure.
Mhm. Oh, totally. So, would you say this is a good resource for appetizers and like dinner parties outside of just the everyday family life?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a tray called Mediterranean Date Night,
Ooh.
or Date Night Mezze platter. So it's, Mediterranean themed,
Mhm.
and it was really inspired by the pandemic, because we moved during the pandemic from Brooklyn to Westchester County, and
Okay.
so we went. I mean, as did many many people, we went for a long time without a date night. And I mean, it was something like 2 years, maybe even more. And so I wanted a concept that allowed parents to take a moment, even if
Mhm.
they can't leave the house, put Bluey on for your kids and find a quiet place for you guys to just like sit, have a moment, have a glass of rosé, and enjoy some really good cheese and, some other really tasty things.
Mhm.
And then there's a Meatless Monday tray, which has
Okay.
a lentil and quinoa patty, which is delicious. And so there are trays that are more for like a full meal, and there are trays that are just for snacks. So it's really, multiple occasions, multiple reasons, and multiple seasons. There are 4 seasons that are covered in the book.
Oh, amazing. I'm so excited to try. I love a good board. I do one every single holiday. And I do like a
I
Halloween
love that.
themed, I do Easter themed, Christmas, all of the things. But I actually was just talking to Andrew Zimmern. So for those at home, he's like a really big food television personality. He's done like Bizarre Foods and Family Dinner on television. But I was talking to him about charcuterie boards, and it frustrates me because a lot of it goes to waste. And he gave me
Yes.
such an amazing solution. He said, take all the cheese rinds, freeze them, and use
Mm-hmm.
them for a cheese sauce on vegetables and on other things. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so smart because it bothers me when I have to throw like nice cheeses out or something
Yeah,
like that.
me too.
Yeah, it blew my mind. I was like, I can't believe I've never put a cheese sauce on like broccoli before, but I got to do it.
Yeah. Well, because diet culture tells you not to do that,
Yeah,
but it's delicious, and it's certainly a great way to eat more veggies.
it is. The sun is now coming in my face. It's like I'm on the West Coast, so the sun is coming around. But I have to ask you, in the snacks that we're talking about and everything, what is your go-to snack?
I, I love all different foods, but for like a quick snack, you cannot beat almond butter or peanut butter and an apple. It's
So
just
good.
super, super satisfying. And clearly that can go on a snack tray. And I think, personal snack trays are really fun too.
Mhm.
There's one in the book called Bad Day at School snack tray, because
Okay.
sometimes when you have kids, they come home and they are, something bad, something happened. Their feelings got hurt. Maybe their teacher yelled at them. Maybe
Mhm.
they just did the wrong thing, or, got a bad grade or something. So it's not so much exactly what is on that tray, because every kid is going to be different, but it's kind of taking that time to make them feel special, and
Mhm.
to make them feel like, wow, mom or dad really cares and is going to sit down with me without her cell phone
Hmm.
and distractions, and talk to me, and we're going to have a moment of connection, and maybe your kid will tell you what happened that day. Maybe they won't, maybe they'll save it for another time. But food obviously is a way to care for people. And so I want families, this is real. I wrote this for people like me, people who are busy, they're working and they're parents, and they want ways to connect with their kids. And I think people are struggling with that these
Hmm.
days. Everybody's connected. I have a friend who was posting, because she just moved to Mexico. She was posting about the 2 hour dinner that dinners every night for 2 hours. And I was like, wow, I remember, like I said, my mom was from Germany, and I remember us having dinner parties, and they would go on for hours, but that is all before we had these things distracting
Yep.
us. We that wasn't a thing, right? And so we're like, how long do you sit down for dinner? If you're not out to dinner, you might sit down for what, like 20 minutes, 15 minutes?
Hmm.
Can you imagine having a 2 hour dinner, like a family dinner? It just doesn't happen anymore.
No, ugh, I can't remember the last time I did that, but we did used to have in my childhood, I used to have nice, like, sit down dinners before all of this. But now we're just so accessible that we feel like we have to be so accessible to everyone else and just not live on the moment, but live online. And sometimes I say, I'm like, I just want to throw my phone in the ocean and not look
Yep.
back. And other times I love my phone, so it's a love hate.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, right. The world has changed, but I think instead of always succumbing to it,
Hmm.
we need to find those times, or make the time to do something a little special. And so Everyday Snack Tray helps parents and other caregivers, and honestly, just anyone, these aren't only for kids, helps us create that moment, and it's also it's a creative outlet for me too, to do a Halloween snack tray, or
Yeah,
a
it's so
New Year's
fun.
Eve snack tray. It's so fun and creative, but to kind of create those moments, because we know that we're not having enough of them.
Right. And I think too, if you get your kids involved in the kitchen and at any way you can, even if it's just throwing the fruit on the snack tray, I think it incorporates it a little more and it allows for that creativity that you mentioned as well. But snack boards are just, it's a blank canvas. So you can just do whatever you want. And it's going to be right. You're never going to be wrong.
That is exactly right, because you know what I say in the first chapter, which is the rules of snack trays.
Hmm.
There are no rules.
There
There are
you
no rules. Yeah,
go. It's like Fight Club, but for snack trays.
that's right. Yeah. So I hope people find inspiration and fun. And I do talk about snack trays for different ages. And I have to tell you, one of my proudest moments as a mom was when my now 14-year-old said to me, "Hey, mom, I'm having a sleepover. I want to make a snack tray."
Oh,
So, yeah, so my
you made
13-year-old,
it.
yes, she took the initiative and wanted to do it, and thought that it was something that her friends would enjoy. And so I stepped back and I was like, I don't really care exactly what she puts on there. This is her thing, and I'm just happy that she wants to do it and that she's interested in food.
That's amazing. See, that's where my control would kick in, and I'd be like, "You should put it here. You should put it here." But that's a time to step back and let them do it.
Totally.
I love for it to look good, and since I'm in content creation, I'm like, I have a specific thing in mind, so
Of
I'm like, "We'll
course.
eat it until I'm finished." But then after that, they can eat it however they want.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So you've made actually a lot of television appearances, like the Rachael Ray Show, Today Show, CNN. I'm sure you will for this cookbook as well. But you were even a
Fingers
judge on.
crossed.
There you go.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah, yeah.
you were on Food Network Challenge as well, right?
Yes. It was
Oh,
super fun. We shot it in Memphis, and I remember this was back when they would have you do those really like serious have the judges make these really serious faces. And Memphis was so like the bright, 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 bright sun. And we couldn't have sunglasses on, and they didn't want us to squint, but it was virtually impossible. And I think that, any Botox that I've had is because of that shoot. But yeah, it's always fun when you can go on national TV and, meet new people and have a new experience, and also expose people to, your recipes. It's kind of an amazing thing.
That is so, so fun. Is there anyone that in the industry that has come back to you and just raved about your recipes and like made them or let you know online that they made them? Because I feel like you would get great feedback from that.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, this was when I wasn't totally like I didn't totally know how to use Instagram. I'll be honest. And my friend had, this is from my last book, Eating in Color. I have an emerald
Okay.
muffin recipe in there, which has a
Oh,
bunch
fun.
of spinach in the muffin, but it's like the base of it is a banana bread muffin, and so they taste delicious, but
Oh,
they're
yeah.
packed full of fiber and iron and other nutrients. And my friend had shared that recipe with Jess Sims from Peloton, and Jess had
Oh,
made
cool.
them and shared them. I'm not sure if it was in her feed or in her stories, but I
Yeah.
completely missed it. Like a friend of mine saw it, but I completely missed it because I don't know. I was not like super savvy with Instagram at the time. So I'm like, oh. Anyway,
Dang.
so yeah, so yes, I do get feedback from time to time on my recipes, and it always feels good, especially like I have 3 kids, and kids will share their opinion with you, and they don't always love the emerald muffins or the whatever, the pumpkin smoothie or whatever the case might be. But yeah, I mean, obviously everybody has their own palate, but it feels great especially when it's something that they're making on repeat. It feels great to hear that kind of
Right.
feedback.
Right, right. I know. I sometimes I miss stuff on Instagram too, but kids will always be honest with you. They'll
Yes.
never falter on that. That's brutally or not. Have you ever had like kitchen mishaps while filming these shows? I know they're really pre-planned, but I've never been like on a set like that, so I'm just curious how it kind of works.
They well, especially if it's the Today Show, they have amazing food stylists and they have everything prepped for
Mm,
you. But obviously, stuff can go wrong, stuff can fall on the floor, machines sometimes don't turn on the way they
yeah.
should. And I've definitely had gosh, like if you're going to use a food processor, you better make sure that you have everything lined up, because of course it will only turn on if everything's lined up perfectly. Test all of your equipment beforehand for sure. And then there are shows that you have to bring, like I remember Fox, I would have to bring bags and bags, like schlepping all this stuff to their set because
Oh, really?
they didn't have a food stylist. So you have to think through every recipe and take notes and be like, okay, so for this I need a spatula, a
Mhm.
bowl, a teaspoon, whatever it is. And because there's a lot of room for error when you're talking about food and making
Yeah.
food on live TV or even on an Instagram live.
Yeah, literally.
Lots of stuff can go wrong. So, run through it ahead of time is always a good tip for sure. Just like
Oh,
you would
no.
run through the outfit too.
Oh, yeah. Of course, of course. I know. I've noticed sometimes I go to cooking demos and they don't try the equipment out before, and then they have no idea how to use it. So then like there's something that's hot and they're like scrambling, and I was just like, huh, that's interesting that they didn't try it beforehand. But good thing you did, and you have all your stuff. Imagine forgetting something though if you go to Fox and then like where how are you gonna get it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, I think also if it's not a security issue, bring your own
Mhm.
knives, like at least a chef's knife, because you never
Um,
know what they're going to have available. So I used to do a lot more things where I had to show up with my own stuff. I try not to do that so much anymore just because, yeah, it's really time consuming.
So let's talk about what's next for you. The cookbook comes out on November 28th, you said.
Yes.
Are there any other upcoming projects or anything else going on that you'd like to share in the meantime or after?
Well, I started doing something called, I create a lot of free content for my website. And one of the
Mhm.
things that I created for summer was something called 30 Ways to Well. So 30
Okay.
different ways to just be well, to feel good, whether it's a physical thing or, something good to eat or, meditating. For the summer, I talked a lot about like ways to stay cool because goodness knows we're on a warming planet and we need to think about ways to keep cool. So I'm going to do another one for winter. So 30 ways to well this winter. And so it's a calendar concept, free downloadable PDF. And so that will be available right around the holidays.
Amazing. People need that in the winter. We
Yes.
hermit in the winter. I
Even
know
on the
I do
West
at least.
Coast.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I just moved here, so I definitely was hermiting in Connecticut where I'm from. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
really easy to do. And so there will be a lot of ideas for how to get out of the house and how to layer, how to why it's important to get those 20 minutes of direct sunlight even in February, because it's lack of vitamin D. I am telling you, it is the thing that can really just put you over the edge in the wintertime in terms of mood, in terms of, your immune system. So you need 30 ways to stay well.
I will be using all of them. I was told it even gets a little cold here. I don't. It's
Mm,
definitely not an East Coast winter, but I was told to prep. But I was also told that by people who've lived here forever. So I don't know if they know what real cold
right.
is.
They probably don't. Yeah,
They probably don't. So I have a short game for you if you're up for it.
totally.
I do it every episode. It's like an opinion lightning round of food trends. So I'll say 6 popular food trends, all like nutrition related, and then you'll tell me if you're for or against it.
Okay, let's go.
Cool. All right. First one, protein powder.
Yay. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I'm interested in that. Okay, because I always was kind of like, I always told my sister I was kind of like not for it, but I need to do a little more research on it, I think, as well.
Yeah, it's also
Okay.
an individual thing. I think you have to find one that you like the taste of and that doesn't bother your stomach. But it can be a great way to, if you need an extra 10 grams a day, that's a great way to do it.
Okay. I'm taking that in. Number 2, collagen.
Yay. Yes.
Okay.
As somebody who's almost 50, yes. Yes to collagen.
I love it. Number 3, energy drinks.
No way. Nope. Stick to coffee.
Agreed. 4, fish oil. I've seen this recently a lot.
It's better to eat fish.
Okay.
Better to eat
Fair
fish,
point.
yes. But if you can't or don't, then yeah, talk to your doctor about a fish oil supplement.
Okay. Number 5, ginger shots. This was a fad for a while.
Ginger, yes. Ginger shots, no.
Okay. I know ginger has some anti-inflammatory properties
Yeah.
and other things. So I've been wanting to incorporate that into like smoothies and stuff, but I was curious if the
I would
shots would.
say add fresh ginger. I mean, buy a root and then just peel a 1 inch piece and add that 1 inch piece to your smoothies. And if you want to even make it easier, you could, I mean, they sell little ginger shots. Put a little bit
Mhm.
of that into your smoothie, but
Okay.
don't take it straight. It really can burn your throat. And I think there's no reason to do shots like ever. I'm sorry. If you're over 21, don't do any shots.
Never shots, none of the kind.
No shots.
No shots ever. All right. Number 6, greens or superfood powders.
Oh my gosh. Well, food is always best. Food is always best.
Mhm.
So, I was a good girl this week and I prepped my kale. And so now I'm eating the kale that I prepped. However,
Mhm.
there are weeks that I'm on the road that I'm not that I don't have access to fruits and fresh fruits and veggies like I would like to. And so to have a greens powder on me that I can just add to water or, add to something else is convenient. And that way I know I'm getting those nutrients in, but food is always best.
Yeah, always. All right, my last question for you. This is something I ask every single guest. If there's one cooking appliance or utensil that you think everyone should splurge on, what would it be and why?
Microplane grater. You will use it all the
Oh,
time. It's not that expensive, and it's so great for, fresh citrus, orange citrus, citrus zest for zesting your lemons, zesting your oranges, and just adding that extra little flair to your dishes. Parmesan, you can use it with chocolate, you can use it with nutmeg, so many different things. So, certainly, yeah, it's great to have a Vitamix blender. That's amazing
mm-hmm.
too. But, for $20, definitely get that microplane grater.
Oh, so smart. I just added lemon zest to a pasta I was making the other day, and it is such a game changer. I don't know why I haven't done that.
And it's so inexpensive.
Yeah, it's so inexpensive. I forget those things are around, and it just like pops everything out. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was super fun and such a great conversation. So I appreciate you taking the time out.
Thank you. I have loved every minute of it. It was so fun. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Of course. So Frances's cookbook is now available for pre-order on Amazon and will be released on November 28th. You can also follow Frances on Instagram at Frances L. Roth RD. Perfect. Is there anything else you'd like me to promote while we're doing the outro?
Well, you could just mention my website, which is franceslargemanroth.com.
Okay, so go to franceslargemanroth.com. I almost messed that up.
Perfect.
Hey, fellow foodies. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to leave me a review. And while you're at it, make sure to follow me at Livvin for Food Pod on Instagram or TikTok, or email me at livinforfoodpod@gmail.com. Let me know what you're cooking up this week, which guests you would like to see on the podcast, or tell me your opinions on the latest viral food trend. Until next time.